ladies from India playing now. We've got Divya and Conero. A very interesting game, and what I like about the current position here is that we can clearly see there is a battery. So perhaps the only way for black, for Conero, to stopping this from happening is to play knight c6. I don't see any other way for them to prevent the check, which looks incredibly uncomfortable. I don't think there is any other way. Plus, you need to develop your pieces off the back rank and try to do something with the rook as well. So it looks to me, from a defensive, offensive point of view, something like knight c6 will stop the queen coming over to e7, checking the king, and at the same time releases the rook on a8 to moving into game and potentially actively attacking the white queen and the white rook. So let me check again. We should be on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. What did I miss? TikTok, right? Let me refresh the page of the TikTok and see if that works. Yeah, that should be right. Okay. Looks to me. Did I say YouTube? I said, okay, cool. So to board number 1, Conero Divium, and board number 2, again, Tuco Nationals, Chinese Grandmasters, Lei Ting Chia and Tan Zhong Qi. Okay, but that the first board here, as we had said, yes, quite automatically played by Divya here. So knight c6, let me just go back a little bit. Knight to c6 develops the knight, stops the white queen from moving over to e7. So there's going to be no check. And not just that, allows the rook to get into the game and potentially... But wait a minute, this guy is pinned. So that doesn't really work, isn't it? Even if you want to figure out something with the rook, that doesn't work. It's a checkmate because the knight is pinned. So that's not applicable. So what do you have to do with black? Well, it's a good question. I wonder if you should do something like g6 or something. I think. Anyway, let's go back to the live move. It's a very interesting one. Attacks actually the d5 move that Divya played. Puts enormous pressure on black here. This young lady, I think she's like, what, 20 years old? She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. Look at the play she performs here. So the d4 to d5 attacks the black knight. And if the black knight were to move, well, the e7 is actually is a very weak spot for black here. And the bishop perfectly pins the knight on d6. That is just something. The black knight has to move. It's a very aggressive move. I think the whole game, I think they play the queen's gambit. They are queens themselves, that's for sure. So they play the queen's gambit. And this is move number 16 for Blackstone to play. And this is just great. It's just fabulous. And she plays so aggressively. So aggressively. And the last move she played at Divya, she played it very fast. She's an international master. She's a woman grandmaster, international master. And boy, what a game she performs here. My whole admiration for this player. Great learning opportunity for all of us. Enjoying my black tea now, 3 sachet. Let's see if it works. Makes any difference in terms of clarity. If not, hell, we're going to get another one, I guess. Okay, fabulous. I would say the black knight on c6 has to move, right? Is there anything else black could play? It doesn't look okay for black. I wouldn't have the black pieces here. Gee, what a crazy and wild queen's gambit the ladies played here. So, hello TikTokers. Lucius, good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the visit. And thanks for the like, follow, subscribe, whatever the platform might be. Okay. I don't know what black plays, but it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. How nice and cool and safe the white king is. Look at this guy on g1. No one touches it. It's super safe. Great. Super safe. Now black tries to create a bit of a counterplay. I guess she want to do some rook lift. Probably we need to go back to the very first move and gently peruse through the moves until the very moment here, so can understand better the evolution of this beautiful game nonetheless. So looks to me white is down a minor piece, but the knight is pinned. The black knight is under pressure. By the way, white can just capture it anytime. And looks to me, if you capture now the knight, you attack the queen with tempo. So black queen, I would say, has to capture back, right? Then you have your check here, which is very psychological and very good stuff to play anyway. And after the check, king is forced to move. It's a must, not maybe or perhaps they have to move. And white can explore the attack on the d6. I'm not sure if you want to give up on your knight, or sorry, or your bishop on a3 or not. Bishop takes. I guess you could take back with either queen or pawn. But I'm not sure Divya would like to go for this. Anyway, pawn taken on c6 is going to happen. Pretty much 100%. There is no other forcing move, by the way. So the only logical and reasonable approach for white is d5 taken on c6, and black has to move queen. Very likely queen takes c6. Very, very likely. And then she needs to consider something else. Queen e7, right? King gonna go g8, and then what? Maybe king g5? Maybe, maybe, maybe. Then maybe some rook left for white as well. There's all sorts of things. The bishop is super nice, super strong, and very aggressive and very nicely positioned. So probably white is doing a little bit better than black. You guys can tell me your ideas if you agree, you disagree, this and that. Fabulous. Fabulous stuff. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Thanks for the visit, whoever you are, whatever the platform you're coming from. If you enjoyed the game of chess, we're going to be covering for a while the FIDE Women's World Chess Championship, the final, game number 1. Game number 2 will happen tomorrow. But for now, we go with this. Let's look at the board number 2 here. So what was black's last move? Knight to f5. Wow. Another interesting position. It's a bit more positional than the previous one. Okay, what's white supposed to be doing here? There's a couple of things. Amongst them, let me see. Would you play this knight here on e5? Just asking. Obviously, there is a lot of attacking here happening now on e3. There's a lot of attacking taking place. And it doesn't feel okay to take the knight on f5 for the bishop. I mean, you could take it. I guess they could just simply take back with the knight on g3. You don't take with the bishop, I guess. But although you could. Hell, of course you can. But would you really take? Maybe try to get the knight more aggressively, attacking f7, maybe attacking g6 on knight e5. Maybe it's an option. Maybe it's an option. And when you play knight e5, you also stopping the battery. So, so to speak, defending e3 by cutting off the queen and stuff. Anyway, they won't take on e3, do they? Because there is a rook though, so the knight would be in a pin. But that's quite an aggressive move. I think knight e5 makes sense. Unless you got a different plan or you want to go differently. Huh. Interesting. Knight e5 or knight g5, and why exactly would you do that? So if you think about knight e5, which is I don't think is a bad move. I don't think this one is a bad move. Then you can maybe explore some knight c5 over to d3. Yeah, that's exactly the move Tang Zongyi played. That's exactly what I thought I would do myself. Yeah. So Tang Zongyi played knight f3 to e5. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Very reasonable approach. And again, I'm suspecting she wants to play knight c5 to d3. I mean, you could do that anyway. But let's see what happens next. I mean, you could do that, but maybe knight c5 stays very well currently where they are. And there is more to it. This guy potentially might be able to play some knight to g4 if necessary. So maybe bring over this guy from c5 over to d3, then play knight to g4, then get the other knight here. There's a lot of maybes and perhapses, but a little bit of W thing here maybe is beneficial for white. Actually, you may want to reroute the white knights towards attacking the black king rather than having them on the queen side. So maybe knight here. Anyway, yeah, and then you play knight g. And then maybe get the other knight over to e5. I know there's a lot of maybes, but it's an idea. Other than that, what do you play? You can't push no pawn yet, I think. I mean, you kind of can, but it doesn't feel okay to pushing the e3 to e4 just yet. It's an idea. Interesting. I don't know what Lake Team G gonna play here. Can you get rid of one of the two white knights? Can you suggest a trade or anything? No, she moved the king over to g7, g8 to g7. Probably. I think I know why. I think the reason behind playing king to g7 is because she wants to play f6. So g6 is defended now by the king. She can play f7 to f6, and the white knight then is being kicked away. That's exactly what she want to do. I'm telling you. That's the reason. King g7 defends g6. If that's what you want to play, because long term, if you look at a position, interestingly, the bishop on b1 would have potentially, if f6, just put a little bit of pressure on the g. Now, what exactly the bishop b1 to a2 gonna do? Just try to figure out some. I mean, what's this move doing, guys? What am I missing? Bishop b1 to a2. What does that do? What does bishop a2 do? Where do you want to get that guy? She wants to like maybe save a couple of seconds because she got like 46. Late Jess, she got 25. Maybe she wants to put the pressure and the time on her opponent and make her think. So she played sort of like safely bishop b1 to a2, but I don't see, is there any breakthrough here? What she want to do? Oh, what? Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think she wants to play e3 to e4? Because if the pawn takes, all of a sudden, there is something happening here. So that makes me think maybe Tan Zhongyi cooked something like, I'm going to move bishop to e2 to exert pressure on the f7 point, together with the knight on e5. That's what I think is going on. So that is why she played this, in order to do this. But now black retreated the knight on d6, defending f7. And also keeping an eye on the e4, very important square, so that white can't really go with the breakthrough now. They can't go with the breakthrough, right? They can't do it. Very good game. And they're all very instructive and fabulous. Okay. Hi there, Amina and Anthony. Thanks for the visit, guys. Let's go back to board number one. God, I think I like this game a little bit more than the board number two game. H5. She didn't move nothing. Divia's on 16 minutes. She didn't move nothing. That really makes me think, what exactly is she thinking next to do? Why wouldn't you take the knight on c6 straight away? Because it looks to me it's a normal move. you take back material, you attack the black queen with tempo, and you allow the white queen to go e7 and check the black king afterwards, and then you're going to play maybe g5. I think she should probably just take on c6. Just save yourself a couple of seconds here. h5, and looks like white hasn't moved anything. I wonder why. I wonder why she didn't move nothing yet. What exactly is you waiting for? I mean, what's the deal? I don't know. So she's on like 15 minutes. You've got to move on the board that how can you do something else than pawn takes c6? Does she think about playing bishop first? Ah, that's a nuance. Do you know what I think is the nuance, guys? If you take now with the bishop, if you take the knight with the bishop, you give black an isolated. No, I mean they can't take with the queen, because if you take now on c6, black queen takes, right? You do check, fine, king g8. But when you take here, potentially black can take back with the queen. I don't know, does that make any big difference? Or maybe it does. Don't tell me she considers actually. Okay, there's just two candidate moves here. There is pawn takes c6, which probably I would just play it straight away. And there is bishop takes d6. Apart from these two, I don't see anything available for white to play. But she wastes a little bit of time. Okay, you could tell me your thoughts, guys, if you think that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with pawn takes. And keep the bishop on the board. I think this guy is more active than the knight on d6. So I think she should keep the bishop on the board. Oh, sorry, there is another move. You know, the more you look at a position and you don't play like crazy fast, the more small revelations you may have in regards to the position. You could do with the tempo some rook a-b. So you could do that. Oh my God, she thinks about this one. I think she actually want to play rook a to b. That prompts the black queen to 100% going to a6. You see, there's another subtlety here. If you do rook a b1, not that you couldn't do pawn takes c6 or bishop takes d6. You could do that. But rook a b1 attacks the black queen with tempo. Right. Queen has to go on a6 so that you protect the knight on c6. Fair enough. Yes, there you go. That's exactly what she did. She activates the rook. This is a very, very subtle and beautiful, smart moves. Rook a to b1 activates a rook with tempo. You still maintain the threat upon the black knight on c6, with a pawn, that is. The black knight is still in a pin. The queen had to move to defend the c6. The differences between took previously on c6 and rook a b1 is that you've got one extra active piece. I think she is very wise and she sees a lot of good stuff. And she plays and behaves and performs like a real grandmaster. She's international master, by the way. And now she took, with check, forces black to take back with a pawn. Now, what's going on? You're taking, right? Yes. So she, black's gonna take, maybe. Queen takes e6, perhaps, right? I suppose. Anthony, thanks very much for the confirmation. Yeah, I think she's doing incredibly well, Divya. I really appreciate. I mean, look at the way she plays and the ideas she sees. If you can see an idea, but you know what I mean. So, what is Conero gonna do? I think she's gonna take c6, right? You have to take c6 because if you don't, If you play something like king to g8, there is the danger of rook b7, and then if you take afterwards, it's a bit too late. So black can't really play king f8 to g8 because there is a big problem after rook b7. Therefore, black has to take first with the queen. So queen a6 takes c6. You do not allow rook b7 and stuff like that. It's just too strong. You get checkmated practically. So queen takes c6. Of course, that doesn't stop white queen e7. Yeah, you have to take the pawn. Exactly. Again, queen e7 is like #1 move. Unless there is another big subtlety I'm not seeing. I don't know. Does she want to play this stuff? What else is here? I mean, hell, you can, I think. I guess you sort of can. I'll tell you something. If you do rook b4, guys, and if black plays... So if you do this, right? And black plays this. Okay. No, actually, you can't do this because rook's going to come over here. It's difficult to say. It really is. Oh my lord, you actually can take then? No, you cannot. No, it doesn't work. Rook b4, and if they play rook, if Conero plays rook e8, what exactly are you doing? So, all in all, probably queen e7. Queen e7 check, king to g8, and then maybe just get rook b7. Well, that is something. Queen here, check, king g8, rook b7, and you tell me if that's not scary. Yeah, I think this is the best way to play it. Queen e7, king is forced to go g8, and then you're going to get the rook on the 7th rank, and you threaten checkmate into moves. So then black has to desperately play rook a8 to f8, but you already established complete domination on the 7th rank. So I think that's the right way to play. You guys tell me if you see something else, if you agree, disagree, or you got a better plan, or I'm missing something, of course. So white is doing psychologically actively looking at the white pieces positioning now. Looks like you do have some moves with tempo and you do have initiative here. So queen e7 followed by rook b7. That's the plan, I think, for Divya. I'm curious to see how she goes about this. So probably white doing better, right? And black has to defend incredibly precisely, or you're gonna just lose the game. Yeah, after queen e7, king g8, rook b7, there is sort of what, queen d5 maybe, defend against the f7 checkmate. You got to think about that option too. But nonetheless, that's for black to figure out a way to survive. White is doing very well after queen e7, rook b7. I think white's doing very well. Okay, let's go to board number 2 now. What had happened here in our absence? So knight, queen to b. Now, why is that? Queen to b. What does it do, queen to b? What on earth is going on? I mean, it could be a couple of things. I'm not sure. This. But black's not going to sit and wait. Now, you can't do queen c2. There's this, right? You just can't do queen c2 like this. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Amina, thanks for your confirmation. I guess you refer to the previous position, the board number 1. in between Divya and Conero. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can't do queen c2. The question was, why exactly is queen to b2? Why did she play that, Tanzongi? Why did she play queen b2? What's the idea? What do you think about this one, Amina, and the rest of the friends? Yeah. What's queen b2 doing, by the way? Okay, you put the queen what the black king is, but how exactly are you going to make the black pawn disappear? Just asking. How? Like how? That guy's not going to move. What is going on with the queen b2? What's the stuff with queen b2? It's not very clear. Okay, queen is the white queen, I mean, is very versatile, very flexible. It can go C, B, B1, it can go back F2. It's very versatile. But is there any other immediate plan that she thinks about? You guys think, let me know. Sack the knight, says Anthony. Sack the knight, like what knight where? Where do you want to what knight and where exactly you want to sacrifice the knight? I'm all for sacrifices, but if you can enlighten a little bit the idea, I'd be happy to look into. And thanks for your thoughts, Anthony. Just tell me where and I mean what knight you want to sacrifice and where. Following queen b2. How do you want to do the attack? What's going on? Okay, let me go back board number 1. Yes, gee, I was thinking about rook to b. Now, the reason I wasn't very excited to play rook b4 straight away, so I'm happy to actually see Divya thinks, like on the same ideas like I had and stuff. But how do you play against this again? If rook a to e8, how exactly are you gonna play? What do you do? I guess you're gonna move what, queen d2? And if they take, you take. Okay, I guess. I mean, what do you play after this? What's the stuff? This ain't a bad move in itself. Rook left b to b4. It's not a bad move. It allows this. It allows, double attack here. Maybe black's going to play this. I don't think it's a bad idea. But after rook a to e8, what exactly you're supposed to do is a very, very honest question. So Anthony says, sack the knight, the other black king would come in. I think queen would have. I think you're talking about late Tingji and Tang Zongi. I don't know where exactly and what knight you want to sacrifice, Anthony. If you're talking about board number 2. So king had moved, by the way, away from this. But I don't see what knight you want to sacrifice? And where? What's going on? Anyway, late Tingji moved the king over to h7. Right. Now you could just drop the bishop back. Bishop a to b1. Dude, I gotta turn off the messaging. What? Okay, we'll see about that one later. So things are very volatile here. Things are changing. I'd rather have the white pieces. I like the idea with the bishop going back to b1, exerting pressure on this diagonal. I like it. What does he want to do? Okay, bishop b1, and I can envisage an idea with queen c2, queen d1, then get... No, you can't. There is a king there on g3. You can't go queen h5. No, it doesn't work. I mean, bishop b1 can be played, but it's not very clear. Well, we'll see. I guess one move at a time, right? Back to the live move. White's turn to play. Yeah, bishop a to b1. Probably that can be played. Potentially. Yeah, you could do this. Hmm. Anything else? It's not clear what queen b2 wanted to do, what's gonna do now, queen to b2. It's not clear at all. Where do you want to get the bishop? Is she going to push now e3 to e4? I guess that's one idea. So this one, I think, Anthony and Amina. Just in relation about a second board, we're looking at the Leiting Gen Tanzongi. So I think this one might be an idea. If this knight takes, you're gonna take. When the other knight takes, rook gonna take. I think you gotta think in these terms. Then after the pawn takes, you do have something like this. So Anthony and Amina, I think white is kind of investigating seriously e3 to e4. You tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think given a rook for a knight here, it's an idea as long as you got a bishop and the knight attacking f7. Do you think that might be worth? What do you think, guys? Yeah, so again, probably something to do with e3 to e4. It looks to me, fellas, right? It's got to be something like this. It got to be something like this. And board number one. Oh yeah, I was thinking, what is black going to do after this? Sorry, what's white going to respond here? I guess queen d2. Then you're going to trade off the rooks on the e eventually, or I don't know, maybe king moves after all. And if you take, queen takes, but well, I don't know, rook can take on c4 after all. So maybe not that fast. You got to think about this one for a second. And Conero should think because she's like 32 minutes. I don't think she has a reason now to push like crazy and to just making very rushed and reckless moves. Rook e8 seems to be an idea to just simply diminish a bit the attack, but queen d2, then what do you play? Rook takes, queen takes. It's still a little bit of a problem here because you got this idea. So let me take you through the thoughts that I'm thinking. Hello, Jack. So if this stuff happens, just saying, if this stuff happens, we've got queen d2. If rook takes, queen takes, and then there is a threat of rook b8. And this is serious stuff. I mean, it's a sort of like back rank. Of course, you got a tempo, probably king over g8, right? So rook e8, queen d2, rook takes, queen takes, and then king has to go. You still have a check. King's gonna move, but then you got queen c2 check. It's just getting interesting, and I still think white is more comfortable having a little bit more initiative and calling the shots. So I'd rather say still rook e8 gives Divya leverage, comfort, and initiative. I like that rook lift Divya did. I did speculate about that move before she actually played it. Yes, Jack. It's game number one from the final FIDE Women World Championship. We got board number one, Divya Conero, and board number two, two grandmasters from China, two ladies, Tang Zongyi, Lei Tingjie. So I'm gonna cover this for a while here. The more friends, the merrier. Hello, Sam, my TikTokers. Thanks for like, follow, subscribe. You guys know this already. Appreciate, great deal. So 235, 336. If black survives this onslaught, this attack, if black survives and you keep your pawns on a board, so let's say now if you magically extract now the queen and the rooks, all the I mean the two black queens and the rooks, if they magically disappear, black's winning. So what I like about these games and the instruction that we learn every single time watching this Super Grandmasters playing, if the pieces now disappear, black's winning because you got an extra pawn. You got a pawn majority in the center, the D pawn, essentially very important. If the pieces disappear, so well they still on the board though. And now I don't know if black should play rook e8 or something else. I'm not sure. Or you should be pushing the pawn. I'm talking about this pawn here. So two candidate moves here for black. You need to connect. So Jack, you know what's important here, I think, for black? Thanks for the question. I like this level of engagement, my friends. Black needs to figure out a way to connect the two black rooks. So as long as you keep the king cutting the black rook's cooperation, you screwed. You're done. You've got an issue here. Your rooks do not communicate. You got a big problem with black. So black has to figure out how the heck do I get my rooks connected? But connection of the rooks, what does that mean? Does that mean king g8 and king h7? That don't look good anyway. It just, you can't even get there because the queen keeps an eye on this guy on h5. So how exactly are you meant with black to connect the rooks? I think this is actually a serious problem. Hey, Patil, thank you very much for stopping by, my friend, my YouTuber friend. Cheers, fellas. So I don't know if you guys agree or not. You're very much free to disagree. I don't have any problem with people disagreeing. I love it, actually. As long as it's explained and justified, I'm very happy to changing my opinions about pretty much everything, chess-wise and non-chess-wise. As soon as I'm being proved wrong, I'm happy to embrace the change. I think this should be the engine for all the human and countries, relationships and all. And consciousness and reason should prevail. I know it's a dream, but what else can you dream about? Anyway, so back to our chess topics. Issue for Conero is you don't connect your black rooks, you're done. You got a problem. So yeah, you could do g6, Jack. I'm just reading your message now. You could do g6. But you need to be ready then to dropping the c4, which I'm going to attack with the rook, hitting your queen with tempo. This is very uncomfortable. Not mentioning the queen e7 check. Anyway, so this is incredibly inconvenient for Conero here. Again, I'd rather have the whites here for a very long time. And I think this game actually deserves a full video of analysis. Maybe I'm going to do it today at some point for later updating, uploading. So let me just pick up some messages from TikTok. Yes, saying hello to Sam and the other two friends, X, Matty, and Anthony that came back. So that's the issue for black here, connecting of the two black rooks. Absolutely, Jack. Absolutely. You better give up on a pawn than finding yourself in this nightmare of position defending it. It's awful. Yes, Jack, I agree. I think it's very, very good thought you're having there. I think black should just give away a freaking pawn just to getting king to g6, if that is sort of satisfying. But there is another thing, Jack, and that's why I think kind of white's going to win. I think Divya does incredibly well. Even if g6, Jack, let's say g6, right? You said g6. I get it. Think about queen e7 check. King g7. Fair enough. And then look at this monster. Rook b7. I mean, you tell me you're comfortable with this. So all these arrows considered and their implications, G6, I'm not sure it offers the defense you're looking for with black. Maybe she's gonna survive, I don't know. But it is very, very unpleasant here with the blacks. A lot. Very many things. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you in a second. If you get yourself queen on e7 and you're forcing black to play rook f8 and you play rook to b7 jack, you can then, using that battery, you clear all the pawn. You take this guy on a. You're going to get your pawn here on c7, attack the queen, attack c4 yet again. Queen on e7 also attacks on d6. I mean, you just clear out the pawns. You're going to take the pawn on a7 and then go with this guy, because the rook on h8 does not exist. The rook on a8 is just going on f8. So that's exactly what's going to happen medium long term. So this is crazy difficult for black to play and incredibly psychological. Very difficult for black to cope with this. Anthony says, what if black queen to c7 to protect? Let me see. Queen c7. Yeah, you can, Anthony. And I guess rook takes. Actually, it's bloody hell. There's a lot of threats happening. You could take on c4. That's for one. That's just for a starter. Second idea. Rook e to b in order to play rook b7 again. This is a nightmare. So I'm giving you another thought, Anthony and Jack. If queen c7, again, you could just grab on c4, probably with the rook. You don't want to trade queens, right? Because if you trade the queens, you trade off your most aggressive attacking piece. So I don't think white wants to trade off the white queen at this moment. So queen c7, you could just grab on c4 with the rook. An idea. I'm not sure it's the best idea, but just suggesting. You could, forget about a pawn, you could play maybe rook e1 to b1, and then you're having rook b7, or, yeah, rook b7 is just great then. Jesus, it's just great. Really. Exactly, Jack. That's exactly what I'm saying. I think for black is horrible psychologically. Maybe there is a way through. Maybe there is a way through. But it's psychologically so annoying to having this position. I'm seeing that the two connationals agreed on a draw. Now, let me have a quick look. And guys, we're going to be returning to board number 1. So let me look at board number 2. Fellas, look, they've agreed on a draw, eh? I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, I guess you could make a draw. Do you think white perhaps should be trying a bit harder, something? Is this an absolute draw? I mean, just saying. I mean, if you move the knight on e5, you kind of like give up on e3. I think it might be an issue too, if you're moving the knight. And there might be f6 coming. Where do you go with the knight? You're going to go probably g to try to defend this guy like 3 times. Because it's being attacked 3 times. Okay. I think it's an honest draw. So I'm going to tell you now. I think this one, in between Tang Zhongyi and Lake Tingji, I think this is an honest draw. I don't think it's like, okay, let's leave it neutral. It can go either way, but it's not very clear how exactly you're going to crushing your opponent here with the whites, I mean. So it's not very clear victory. Yeah, 96 doesn't mean they have to take, right? I mean, would you give 2 knights for a rook and pawn, Jack? So 96, you're saying. I'll take your knight. I'll take your knight. Then you take c6, attacking queen and a rook. Fair enough. I don't say no. Hell, I don't know where I'm moving the queen. Queen takes, can I? No, I can't take there. Queen, I don't know where. Queen f6. You take the rook, right? Then the other rook takes, or maybe the queen. We have to analyze. So, okay. Queen f6, you take the knight, rook takes. Your knight on a6 is still on prise. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Still not very obvious. Yeah, maybe. Mind you, though, black is actually enjoying two black knights on the king side. Just keep this in mind anyway. These two black knights, Jack, these two black knights are no trifle. These guys are a big problem. Yeah, well, in a blitz or bullet, I guess you could do whatever, I guess. These two black knights are an absolute nightmare and a forever headache. I don't think you're going to be winning any easy endgame here against those two black knights. I'm not sure. Maybe knight a6 is actually not a bad one, looks like, but what can I say? The engine says black is winning? Are you serious? Like, what the heck is going on? -1, queen c2, says the almighty. Mind you, now we've got the engine on the board. Queen c2 as the... What's the plan for white to break through, man? Sorry, you said knight a6. Knight a6 is complicated as hell. As I said, it looks like it's a disaster, even if you do this. I said queen f6 when I analyzed without the engine. Now the engine says, yeah, you could play queen f6. You're still winning. The engine says queen b7. I'm assuming you take. I'm assuming they take. So having now the almighty engine on the screen, again, I think it's confirmed. The two black knights are a nightmare for white. Oops. These guys are an absolute nightmare. So you're not going to be winning anything easy, and it's not clear how. But apparently, so knight a6 is a bad one. Apparently you were supposed to play queen to c2. Let me just take it step by step. Rook to a8. Why? Why rook a8? To stop knight a6. Uh-huh. Queen d1. This is difficult, but rook ac. Let me just take rook ac. I want to see a little bit more in detail. Queen g4, I understand, sort of. I understand queen g4. You put the queen where the king is. They prevent f6 because you're going to take here. So rook c7. What do you play next? e4. So this is the breaking point. But then d takes. This is very difficult. Yeah, I guess you definitely go for knight e4 because you're having aligned the rook with the queen and stuff. Knight takes c4, rook takes c4, I guess. So that is something for sure. But queen takes b4. Very, very, very complicated. And now black actually, as soon as you grab this guy, you're going to have created, like, you will have created two pass pawns. Yeah, there is a lot of turbulence and there is a lot of storm here. There is a turbulent area, but this is far from over. Okay, I guess being national, you want to shake hands and forget about it. Actually, I think they want to beat the Indian grandmasters. They want to beat the Indian champions, actually, the Chinese ones. Okay, so let's put things in a chess-wise political strategy. I think they actually want to face the Indian players rather than fighting amongst themselves. I think. So they've agreed on a draw. Yeah, I guess they rather fight the Conero and Divya than in between themselves. So, okay. So let's go back to board number 1. But this one here, I think Divya wants to win it. So rook c8 had been played. Queen e7, as we said. This one is very interesting. I think we're going to see something like this immediately. Very likely. Why? Because it's a checkmate into moves. That is why. So very likely we're going to see rook b4 to b7 having a lethal battery for c7, for f7 and g7 checkmates. So this one's very strong. Very strong. Looks to me Divya going to win. I think she's going to win. What do you think, guys? Yeah, looks to me white wins. I don't think they're going to make no draw. They're not going to make any draw, fellas. Am I correct? Sam and Anthony and Amina, if you're still there, or Jack. Yeah, totally. Totally. I'm looking at rook b7. But rook b7 is my first choice. Maybe what? Does she see something else? Is there something else here? Is there something stronger than rook b7? Is she investigating stuff like this for this? Just rook b7 is quite direct. Come on, let's be honest about it. Rook b4 to b7 is kind of very direct threat. It's checkmating too. Jesus, she took a pawn? I mean, you have the pawns now? Someone please explain what the heck? Amol Patel, thank you very much for your thought. I don't know, did she make blunders in this game? Did she make blunders? Okay, we're gonna go through the moves, but look, having this position, Jack, I completely agree on this idea. I completely agree. I mean, what the heck am I going to do? I mean, okay, when you remove the black pawn, Jack, when white removes the black pawn, you're actually creating a passer here. I get it. Makes sense. But you could take it later, exactly as you said. Exactly as you said. You could have taken that guy later on. I think first thing first, you should have increased the attacking power with rather rook b7. You actually threatening checkmate in 2 moves. Checkmate in 2 moves. This is serious, right? So you're going to force black into rook f8 or something. Taking on a7 feels a little bit completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. But maybe I'm wrong. Just okay, weird stuff, brother. So rook b7, I guess. Rook b7 would have been my first choice, but I'm not international master. Or so queen a7, maybe what? I don't think is the strongest one to attack, man. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, I mean, look, you're just giving black ideas to. So the last stuff she played, the last move Divya chose to play, Queen a7, just allowed black to start investigating counterplay. Like Rook g6 practically threatens checkmate, right, on g2. So why the hell would you do that? Why would you give black the chance to create counterplay against you? Why? Like why? You took a pawn, fine. But I guess you could have taken it later on, right, Jack? That was your idea, and that was my idea too. We're gonna go at that position, Patil. Maybe you've seen something there. Thanks for the thought. So the Queen a7, not my first choice. I don't know about you, Patel, but anyway. So Rook b7 would be my first reaction here. I mean, you don't mess with that. Why? They can't go h7. They need to play Rook, or they need to they need to play Rook f8 or some Queen d5. So this. And then black has to play either rook f8 or queen d5. They have to. One of these two. I don't know which way you want to look at it. Good. And after you've created this checkmate threat, then you can explore if rook takes a7. Then you can explore if you're going to make some other decisions. Hello, Aries, but who are you? Who am I? Good question. Well, seemingly I'm just a chess enthusiast, gladly sharing live interpretation on the game of Super Grandmasters or Grandmasters, Women Grandmaster, and watching the FIDE event. Yeah, Rook b7 all day. Rook b7 all day. No wonder about it. Okay. Rook b7 all day. Mm-mm. Queen a7. No. No, 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 no. And now I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I guess you could do stuff. I mean, I guess you can. And if there is a rook g6, I suppose you must play some g3. Then black's gonna push this guy a bit. You don't need to react just yet. I mean, you could like take, but it ain't the same. I guess you kind of can, but then they're gonna push again, having a checkmate threat on you. So, if you're moving a little bit faster. So she played h4 to stop the black pawn. So I'm just seeing this move now, guys. h4 being played by Divya, probably to stopping this guy. So after g6, I guess you just play g3, right? I guess you just play g3. And potentially, not potentially, also very practically, white enjoys the prospect of actually getting triple power on the 7th rank. So there might be another stuff. And she had created a pass pawn on the A file. Yeah. What do you think about this one? Wiseman, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, she got an issue with the time control now here. Cornero had a bit more generous available time, but now she goes a little bit low too. I haven't read the format, but I guess once you hit the 40 move threshold, you're gonna get like what, half an hour extra? Yeah. Rook b7, rook e7. There could be triple power on the 7th rank. Rook g6 replied to g3 to stopping the checkmate, queen g2 checkmate. So rook g6, rook g6, g3, rook e7, rook f8 to stop the attack on f7. Then you get triple power here with the other rook to b7. And black plays what? Queen to d5. It's an idea. I mean, maybe. But when you play g3, that gives away the white squares control, you see. So g3, you give up all the white squares control. Mm. So let's see, my TikTokers. Rook f6 says wise man. I'm just picking up a message from our friend on TikTok. He says rook f6, rook f6, rook g6, g3, rook f6. Yes, that's another stuff. Then probably you need to drop the queen over to e3. That could be. So rook g6, g3, rook f6, right? But after rook f6, wise man, there is I mean you could like queen e3 or rook e3 or something, so you stop the queen, right? That could be. Hmm. Yeah, we'll see about that. Any other ideas? Let me read the other friends on TikTok. Yeah. Hmm. Well, we'll see about that one. I think Patel said something about trading a bishop. So this is a queen's gambit. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Knight f6 attacking e4. The knight on c3 is pinned. Knight takes b5 now. Bishop e2. Bishop b7. attacking here. The knight on c3 is pinned. Castles very sharp. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Knight takes on e4. Bishop a3 stopping. Black from castle. I think this is a great game. Knight d6 stopping the bishop. Bishop f3 now attacking on b7 here. So queen c8. Knight takes on c4. Gee, what a beautiful way to playing this. Pawn takes. My God, this is absolutely great. Takes, takes, and check. Wow. Great. King f8. Bishop takes and queen takes. It's absolutely awesome. Knight c6 forced. This is a great game. Bishop takes, pawn takes. So, Patel, tell me again, what was your bishop taking what? She exchanged the white bishop for nothing. Right. I think Patel says about this particular position here. I think he says, look, pal, you came here to do chess, or you came here to disturbing the chess stream with nonsense. Right. So let me ban this individual. Okay. Right. Let me get this guy off the stream. Okay. So I think, Patel, you're talking about this position here, right? Queen to a6. Bishop takes here. Yeah, maybe that wasn't quite necessary. Maybe bishop taking d6 was not necessary. Okay, I agree on that. Yeah, okay, bishop takes d6 was not necessary. Yeah, maybe you could have kept the pin, because that bishop actually is quite active. So I agree on this one. I agree with Patel. Yeah, I should have, yeah, maybe she should have kept the bishop. Maybe she should have kept the bishop indeed. Yeah, maybe that wasn't quite necessary. Yeah, that bishop was definitely much stronger than the knight that was pinned and stuff. But hey, here we are now. Queen e7. Queen takes a pawn. Again, maybe rook b7 would have been a better choice. Rook h6, h4 to stopping the h5 pawn to moving down, and rook g6 exactly as we had anticipated. A couple of our friends here, Jack said, and I think Wiseman also said g3, kind of forced. Queen f3. Queen f3, queen f3, queen f3. What's the deal? Okay, I think she wants to actually go into a threefold, guys, repetition here. I think she wants to play rook takes g3, f takes g3, queen takes g3. Is this a threefold repetition? Is this a perpetual check, by the way, guys? So rook takes. So let's say you don't do nothing about it. Well, you could do something, actually. Nah, that doesn't work, man. Wait. Maybe you need to... Yeah, I think this one. Queen e3. Rook takes. Pawn takes. And that's the solution. And you're still having your pass pawn on the a file. You still have the passed a pawn, right? So queen e3. What do you think, guys? Jack and Sam and Anthony, the rest of the guys. You think maybe queen e3 is the correct one to play? Yeah, maybe. Maybe queen e3 indeed. Queen f3. Queen e3. How do you defend against this? knowing that probably rook g3 might happen. How do you defend against this? So rook g3 happens. If you play this one, let me think. Bang, takes, checks, goes here. Yeah, there is checks coming. But you could drop the queen. So you got to sit down and think, you know what's the stuff here? She got like 1 minute 40 seconds. 1 minute 40 seconds she got here. So you have to play this one carefully. I guess you winning with queen b7. I guess you winning with queen e3 maybe feel the safest. Just to tell you honestly, I think queen e3 feels the safest to play. I don't know if that's what she did. Oh, she still thinks about this one. Oh boy, she still thinks about this. Queen e3. Queen e3. I mean, that would be probably my first reaction here, but she got to take a decision. And I guess this one is the one that works. I mean, the one that definitely does not allow black to do rook g3 and doesn't allow nothing. And if you trade off queens, that's for the better. Okay. Well, look, rook takes, and you got no checks. Yeah, you do have a check, though. On G, you don't get checkmated or anything. And that's an attacking move. Check. Well, she got the blood over lizard. I think she does very interestingly. Very nicely, very interestingly. Also, there is rook e3 to f3, and we're looking again at something like this, and then coupled up with rook b7, it might be something. There might be something. Rook f3. And then rook b7, the other rook. I think you kind of like defended everything and looks kind of optimistic now again for white if she plays the correct sequences. What do you think, guys? Let me know. Anthony says rook b8. Rook b8. Rook b8. Yeah, that's another way to get rid of the other rook on the back rank. I guess you can. Hello, Raven. Wait, something happened here. Okay. Okay, is rook f... Nah, rook f3 feels incredibly weird after this stuff. So you can't put yourself in a pin. How the hell do you get out of the checks after queen d1? I guess you're going to go like where? You're going to go like h2? So if this stuff happens, you're going to go king h2, you reckon? I'm not sure. So queen d1, king h2. Queen d1, king h2. Queen d1, king h2. What else do you do? You're in check. If you go back on g2, black's going to do happily threefold repetition, right? Queen d1, king h2. I guess that's the correct one. Wise man, so the point would be just to simply prevent this perpetual check. So you mustn't repeat stuff. And as Wiseman's, and as you said previously, a move like rook to b8 actually will force the black rook off the game. So rook to b8, rook takes, queen takes. Probably that's very beneficial for white. Given the fact after the a7 pawn had been removed, white actually enjoys a free pawn, a passer going on the a file. So that might be a thing. That might be a thing. King g2 again. Okay. Don't tell me now they're going to do threefold and perpetual. What do you do after this? Queen d5 again? You go h2 or what? Huh. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Queen d5. Oh no, come on, don't tell me you're gonna do this stuff three times. So if she doesn't want to get into the threefold, she needs to play king h2, right? Hmm. King h2. So if you go G, then it's gonna be again Queen D1. So you're gonna do this stuff again. King H1, Queen here. Yeah. What do you think, guys? Is there any way that... Oh, come on. That's just gonna repeat itself. Oh, no way. Oh, no. It's gonna be repetition. Sorry, guys. Isn't White supposed to be winning this? Aren't you winning this with White? Well, if they keep doing this stuff, it's going to be a draw, right? I mean, the way that Divya reacts to this looks like she's happily embracing the threefold repetition and stuff like this now. Hmm. Well, I'm not sure anymore now, Wiseman. I think she's supposed to be winning, just that if she avoids the G2 and again. That's all right, Matthew. Good to see you, brother. How's it going? How is things? Long time no see. Nah, that is going to be a draw now, I'm afraid. Queen D1. So I think, correct me, guys, if I'm wrong, but I think now the only option for White to avoid the threefold repetition is actually King H2. That's all right, man. I mean, you could revisit the video, Matthew, anytime in the future, I guess. So, right. So if she now goes for G2, is going to be a threefold, and the game becomes a draw automatically. It's an automatic draw after King G2. So if she wants to play for a win, King H2 is highly advised here, right? Is there something wrong with this, guys? Is there something wrong with King H2? Let me go back to my TikTokers. Repetition rule? Well, I mean, it makes sense. If you do 3 times the same position, I think it's very reasonable to agree upon a draw, to make it a draw. I mean, what's the point? Divya is incredibly strong. She's a wonderful player. She played King H2 in the end. She played King H2. And that's how you avoid the threefold repetition. That's exactly right. So she does want to win. She doesn't want to make a draw. Hello, the visitor via Twitch. Rook f6. Well, of course, Rook f6. Pressure on this guy. What do you play here? You gonna do this? Or there's something else? Yes, she did this one almost instantly. That's exactly what I thought about playing. Rook to b2 here protects f2 against the rook takes. So you can't take on f2 because the white rook takes back immediately. But you know something, Matthew? I think she would be a grandmaster probably. And that means something else as well. There is also rook b2 to rook e2. And then you may have an attempt to trade off the rooks on the back. You know, it's something. Rook b2 to e2, having a battery then for rook e8, trading and stuff. It's an idea. There is also another idea. Let me think. Can you do this kind of... Nah, that's not strong enough, I think. That's not strong enough. So rook b keeps an eye on this guy. You want to stay away from the queen's checks. What else can you do here? All right, Twitch user, if you want to selling softwares, I'm not going to buy it. So have a good day, brother. Have a good day. Rook b2 defending f2. Eight minutes for black here. Well, 9 minutes. Is there any resources for black? I mean, if the pieces come off the board, white actually enjoys a pass pawn on the A. So that should be enough for white to winning. So I don't think black has an interest to actually get rid of the rooks or normal pieces, because then there is a pass pawn and white is winning very easily. So black needs to complicate things a little bit. Let's see to what extent they're able to do that. Okay, then that's fine. I think so. You here for the chess, so you're welcome then. If you're here for chess, you're welcome. Twitch user 7722. What other attempts can black play? Can black go for the like queen c1 to attack the rook here on b2? They could. I mean, I think they can. But then there is queen b7 attacking the rook, defending the other rook. All in all, after queen goes say b7, I mean just an idea. Yes, chestnut, of course I remember, my friend. Of course I remember. Good to see you back. So queen to b7, if that were to be queen c1 attacking the rook, and then queen b7 defending the white rook and attacking on c8, also clears the way for the passer on a. So that might be a way to play. Queen b6 for white, says Matthew. Queen b6, it's black's turn, by the way. You mean after queen c1, queen b6? I think queen b7 might be a bit stronger, because actually you attack the black rook on c8 whilst you're defending the white rook on b2. So might be a bit stronger queen b7, Matthew. In my understanding, stronger than queen b6. That's okay, Wiseman. I'm also not seeing a lot of good stuff. But now we're looking at double pressure here. I think there is a simple fix for this, guys, believe it or not. All you have to do is moving the white rook, exactly. All you have to do is moving the white rook away from the queen defending f2, which is, by the way, f2 is now being triple defended. So you got no issue whatsoever at this stage. f2 is heavily defended. Looks like white is still on the course to winning, assuming she doesn't blunder big time. Divya looks like she's going to win. It looks to me. Yeah. Rook e2, rook e3. You got a lot of powerful defending on f2, including the queen. You could then go queen b7 and see what happens. Clear the way for the pawn. I think it's very, very winnable for white again. Looks like. And I think in 8 moves they're going to be getting some. They're going to be getting some half an hour, right? As per the format, if I'm correct about this. So of course, happy she didn't go for the repetition. Yeah, chess wise, Twitch user 7722 chess wise is going very well. I'm enjoying my friends here and doing live coverage of the FIDE Women World Chess Championship. Thanks for the question. Does this rook? I think I know what is the intention here. The intention, I think, looks like rook to f5. I mean, what else, really? That's exactly what she want to do. She want to do rook to f5, triple pressure. But I think the remedy for this is just putting the queen over to e3. So if rook f5, just thinking out loud now, is rook f5, then queen to e3. Why? You constantly defending 3 times the f2, and then you're creating space for the pawn to moving up the board and promote. That is that. Because I don't see any other ways to forcing stuff here. Black didn't play rook f5. Black play. Sorry, whoa. Something happened in the meantime. Oh, she did a check. Divya did a check. King moved. Okay, she wanted to play this one. She want to play this. Like, oh lord, this is getting quite interesting now. She want to do a check here. If the black king goes back, then it's game over. If they play g6, then I think she goes for something like queen attacking to rook. I mean, yeah, she's attacking f6 and the pawn here. And if they go here, you're going to start taking. It's getting really interesting. Well, thanks for the visit, 7722. King h7. Naturally would be queen to e4, right? So there would be something that probably you could do straight away. Queen e4 and then maybe push. Well, let's see. Let's see. There's some stuff happening. Oh boy, she pushed the f now? She pushed the f pawn, lads? f4. Okay, it's very courageous. It's nice and cool and all. At the same time, you could just start moving queen and get rid of the queen. So guys, you know what's the idea? If you trade off the pieces, you emerge with the extra pass pawn on the a file. So probably Divya now wants to trade off the pieces. You know, she looks for active ways to trade off, to remove the black queen from there, trade them off if they can. So I think she has good thoughts about this. She decided to play f4. Maybe not my first choice. I would still think about playing queen e4, actually. I'm not sure I would play f4, but hey. Okay, maybe. I mean, rook f2, you kind of can, but yeah, you can. But it's nice to have the rook, you know, on the e file. Okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what you want to play. I think she'd be happy to trading off everything. But okay, we'll see about that. Yeah, we'll see about that. Oh, 4 minutes, 20 seconds. What's black playing? So, I don't know what black could play. I mean, you could push this guy down the board. I guess you can. just to try to play something, but I guess you can push the pawn to stop the queen to coming down, but I don't know what to say. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So yeah, you look at a position and then some ideas do crop up eventually. Yes. So pawn had been pushed d6 to d5. So now the white queen can't really travel. That is true. But if you want to get the queen back in activity, king side area, I think you could play some queen to a7. I think you can play some. Now, yeah, I guess you can. I guess you can. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. She want to go back. Check. Moving here. But is it strong enough, man? How? What's okay? The white rook has to stay here. So stopping checks and all. I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure. I mean, actually, I'm kind of rooting for white here. I'm rooting for Rivia. She's so courageous. She's so creative. She's so brave. She's just. Yeah, yes, you can. What else? I'm not sure. That doesn't look good. No, that doesn't look good. After this check here and king goes g6, pushing this pawn forward doesn't look good. There is queen taking. Sorry, but it's dangerous, so to speak. It's a little bit sharp here. I don't know what to say about this one. It is queen e4, rook b8, says Anthony, and I think Wiseman on TikTok. I'm reading my TikTokers' messages. So okay, rook h8, king g6. So what do you want to play afterwards? Because she actually dropped the white rook. She didn't put the queen and then the other rook behind and stuff. But after king g6, what's the other move? What's the other stuff you want to play? I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure rook e8 is leading to anything ending the game for whites. I think maybe this or maybe this one. Maybe this. And then I think Anthony said rook b2 to b8. Maybe something like this. In order to try this, then they go here. Then what? Then you play this, I guess. Yeah, there is ideas. There is ideas. I think with queen e8, but that's not what she chose to play. I don't know. It doesn't feel strong enough, that rook over to e8, fellas. Ay, ay, ay. Do you know what that means? That if you take this rook, I'm really sorry for Divya here. I think if you take the rook, you have a perpetual now, fellas. That's it. Maybe it's not over yet. Maybe you could still play rook b2 to e7. Maybe it's not over yet. Maybe it's not quite over. I don't think she should draw at this stage. She still needs to keep fighting a little bit. She needs to keep fighting. I think in 5 moves she would get the half an hour. So rook e2, avoid the trade, because if you accept the black rook, then black queen is going to do this kind of stuff. It's going to be a perpetual, or even worse if you don't play this one carefully. You got to play this one very carefully. So she played the rook a8, king goes g6. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm so not convinced about this stuff. I think she needed to drop or to connect the two white rooks. Yeah, but now rook b2, Matthew, is unplayable now. I think your thought, Matthew, was definitely better. Definitely better. Rook b2, that's exactly what I thought at this stage, Matthew. I don't think rook h8 is a good move. I think psychologically she's not able to keep up the focus in this very last second. No, 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 no. No, no, and no. It's check, is this. It's at least a perpetual. They're going to end up in a draw now. I am sorry for Divya. I think she was supposed to play differently in order to win. I'm really sorry for Divya. No, 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 no. I'm actually a little bit. I'm sorry because she wasn't convinced to play something else. I'm really sorry. Now it's a draw, fellas. Okay. Mm, no. Wait a minute. Look, now we're gonna move over to the Almighty because I think we're gonna see a draw now. Now we're gonna see a draw. Nah, that's a draw. Sorry. Um, I'm gonna ask the engine now because, as Matthew said very well, rather than rook h8, I think you should stay and fight a bit more with rook b to e2, something like this. Something like this. It's playable like that. It's got to be some advantage for white here, right? That's such a shame. They say it's a perfect draw. And they say rook b2, Matthew. I'm just reading now. I think I've seen at some point rook b2. Is this a blunder? Oh, sugar. Rook e6? Are you serious? Rook e6, rook takes. This one takes. And rook... What the heck is this? Jesus Christ. If rook d e takes, yeah, we're still getting into... Wait a minute. This is just looking so weird, man. This is very complicated. So, wait a minute. This one loses? Rook e6. A rook from the second rank. So what happens if you take here? F takes. You can't save the rook, man. Can't you just go? My God, you're getting cooked here. You're getting cooked because of the rook b1, and then you can't stop this kind of stuff. My Lord. So what the heck are you supposed to do? Rook d2. Or, yeah, well, rook b5 ends up in a draw now. Rook d2. Well, anyway, I think she had a great instinct to actually avoid the losing choice, which was rook e2, Matthew. So she's amazing from this point of view. She was able to actually identify the correct one to actually not lose. But I think she was supposed to be winning, man. Let me go to... Okay. I said queen. What did I say here? I try to remember. This rook c5, queen a8, not bad. f4. Apparently everything ends up in a draw now, but I think it's worth considering maybe getting the queen, they take, you take, and then try and see if you can push the pawn, get the rook behind the passed pawn. You never know, you're playing against a human after all. So I think it's worth exploring here. Maybe some queen to g2, get rid of the queens, push the a pawn, get the rook behind the passed pawn, keep pushing the pawn. Keep pushing the pawn. Maybe get the battery behind that passed pawn. Force it this way. So I think white should insist playing the position with the queens no longer on the board. And try and see maybe that a pawn means something. You know? That's what I think. That's what I think might have been a better choice. From a human point of view, psychologically maybe, that would have been perhaps a better choice. Yeah, try and see. Queen g2, send the queen away. Either send the queen away or trade them off for the better, I guess. Because if they accept, yeah, the engine says it's still a dead draw. Yeah, well, I'm still into the idea that we should be pushing maybe. Rook a5, exactly. They tried to build up a stoppage, a natural stoppage here. Rook a5. Yeah, I think it should be played a bit longer. Anyway, guys, thanks for the visit. Like, follow, subscribe, fellas. And yeah, I think tomorrow they're going to play game number 2. And we're going to see probably a wonderful player from India playing another grandmaster from China and vice versa. Great stuff. So I'm going to try cover tomorrow, fellas, for some time. Take care of yourselves. Be good and be wise.